Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. Social media on trial. For the first time, a jury finding the companies behind Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube responsible for building an addictive product. One woman accusing them of hooking her before the age of 10. The landmark case and what happens now.
Stop blaming the parents. It's on you.
Also developing tonight, the acting head of the TSA warning of threats to public safety tied to the staffing crisis and calling on Congress to act before some airports are forced to shut down. Record heat and wildfires and severe storms threatening the Midwest with tornadoes. The hail and damaging wind today. Rob Marciano with the timing and track.
We are in agony.
Also, Savannah Guthrie's first interview since the abduction of her mother nearly 2 months ago. What she revealed. And swallowed by a sinkhole, but rescued. What Taco here did to save Tessie. Also, the good stuff tonight. Baseball's opening day. What it means for so many.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
And good evening. The verdict is in. That landmark social media addiction trial, Meta and YouTube found liable for a product that harms the very children who use it. The case described by some tonight as social media's big tobacco moment, a potential reckoning for an industry that has often denied placing profits above the well-being of kids. But you can see the reaction today from parents and victims' families, this outside a courthouse in L.A., as the results came in from the jury, finding that YouTube and Meta, the owner of Instagram and Facebook, must pay millions in damages to a 20-year-old woman. She accused the companies of hooking her as a 6-year-old and damaging her mental health for years. Both Meta and YouTube, they disagree, but hundreds, even thousands of similar cases await. And for Meta, this is the second time in 2 days that a jury has found negligence. Senior tech and business correspondent Jo-Ling Kent joins us now with more. Jo-Ling, big deal today. Good evening.
A very big deal indeed, Tony. This is a watershed moment. After more than 8 days of deliberation, a jury found both Meta and YouTube responsible for intentionally designing addictive products that harm the mental health of young people. And this could be just the beginning of a broader reckoning when it comes to the impact of social media on kids.
We've sent a message with this that you will be held accountable.
Today in Los Angeles, a major legal blow for Meta and YouTube in a landmark social media addiction trial. A jury ordered their parent companies to pay $6 million in total damages to the plaintiff, a now 20-year-old woman named Kaylee, known as KGM, with Meta responsible for 70% of it.
As a result of this, Kaylee's life will be different, and rightfully so.
While $6 million is a small fraction of these companies' billions in revenue, it was a critical win. KGM claimed features like infinite scrolling and autoplay were factors in addicting her in her early years to the apps, leading to depression, anxiety, and body dysmorphia. During the trial, billionaire Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg was called to testify, telling the jury, "We try to create a service that is valuable for people, and they will continue to use it more." Today, Meta said it will appeal.
We will continue to defend ourselves vigorously as every case is different, and we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online.
Big tech, your gig is over.
Yep.
Families who have lost children to the influence of social media believe this verdict is just the beginning.
Stop blaming the parents. It's on you. And this is what this is showing today. Enough is enough.
Meta's loss here in Los Angeles comes less than 24 hours after another jury in New Mexico found in favor of the state, which brought a case against Meta, saying the company violated consumer protection laws and did not adequately protect the cases of children on their platforms. They were awarded $375 million. The state was awarded that much money. Meta saying in that case they will appeal. But this is just the beginning, Tony. Here in Los Angeles, expect to see more cases go to trial against Meta and other major social media platforms, and a federal case later this year.
Jolene Kent leading us off from L.A. Jolene, thank you. To other news, the acting head of the TSA issued a warning today about public safety as security officers continue to work without pay at America's airports and in many cases are calling out sick. Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga is back at the airport in Houston tonight with more.
At Houston's George Bush Airport, security lines snake 3 stories. Underground, even outside, created by a severe TSA staffing shortage.
We've been waiting here since like 2 hours and we lost our flight already.
On Capitol Hill today, the acting head of TSA issued this warning.
The longer this shutdown goes on and more missed paychecks, we are really putting ourselves and our workforce in a perilous situation.
Over the past 6 months, TSA has gone without funding for 85 days and counting. That means TSA officers have gone without an on-time paycheck almost every other day. More than 480 officers have quit during the latest DHS shutdown. Yesterday, over 3,100 called out nationwide, pushing the call-out rate above 11%. In Houston, the numbers were even higher, nearly 40% calling out at George Bush Airport, where TSA is operating only about a third of its lanes, leading to lines like this one.
Holding the public and the nation's security hostage is totally unacceptable.
You're not angry with TSA workers who aren't showing up?
No. I sympathize with the fact they've got to feed their families and take care of business.
On Wednesday, Senate Democrats issued a new counterproposal on a deal to end the 40-day impasse.
Just have a vote. Republicans should let us vote and go along with paying TSA.
But Republicans immediately poured cold water on the offer.
I don't believe in holding TSA hostage because the Democrats hate ICE. I think that's wrong. We should open up TSA right now. But nor am I willing to cut ICE.
Roughly 50,000 TSA officers are expected to miss a second full paycheck on Friday, totaling nearly $1 billion in lost wages, according to the acting TSA administrator. Tony.
Nicole, thank you very much. If you don't like what's happening in Washington, your next big chance to change it is 222 days away, the midterm elections. That's when control of Congress is on the line, but there are some early signs of public opinion, including special elections in Florida just last night. Here's senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
As the war with Iran rages on and gas prices keep climbing,
whatever we are going through, we just need to find a solution.
The president is now feeling the political pain in his own front yard, literally. Tuesday night,
Emily Gregory gets it.
Democrat Emily Gregory won a special election to represent the Florida State House District that includes Mar-a-Lago. The president won the area by 11 points in 2024. Gregory won her race with a focus on affordability.
I also heard healthcare, groceries, all of the cost of living and how hard it is for Florida families to get by.
The result worries Republicans who see continued signs Americans are rejecting the war and the president's handling of the economy. Asked about rising gas prices, now up for a 25th consecutive day, the White House says voters should sit tight.
This president is keeping them as low as he can during this short-term combat operation, and they're going to go right back down when this is over.
Since President Trump was elected, Democrats have flipped 30 state legislative seats across the country. It's a worrying trend ahead of this fall's elections, according to Republican consultant Doug High.
So you have months to try and fix this, but if you're distracted, if your messaging is distracted, it makes it that much harder for you to do so. And the president and Republican candidates need to be telling voters, here's what we've done, and here's what we're going to do to fix prices.
Now, the president voted in that Florida special election by mail-in ballot, even though he has said mail-in voting should be ended because there's tremendous corruption. The White House says the president supports certain exceptions, but universal mail-in voting shouldn't be allowed, quote, because it's highly susceptible to fraud. Tony?
Ed O'Keefe at the White House. Ed, thank you very much. The Pentagon today gave an update on American casualties in Operation Epic Fury. In addition to the 13 service members killed in action, 290 now have been injured. And the fighting continues on. Iran today rejected the Trump administration's 15-point proposal to end the war. More now from senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams in Tel Aviv.
Iranian state media says the regime will stop the war when it decides to and when its own conditions are met. Those include an end to, quote, aggression and assassinations as well as a demand for reparations.
We're having, by the way, a tremendous success, as you know, in Iran.
It contradicts President Trump's claim yesterday that Iran's leaders were eager to end the war.
You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal.
Today, a spokesman for the Iranian military mocked President Trump's talk of a ceasefire, saying Americans were, quote, negotiating with themselves.
Is it possible that the Iranians actually want to do a ceasefire deal, but publicly they're talking tough?
That might be. I mean, they are being decimated. At a certain point, they will need desperately a deal. And the only deal that is acceptable, it's unconditional surrender of this regime.
Trump suggested yesterday that regime change has already taken place because many of Iran's top leaders have been killed by airstrikes.
This is a change in the regime.
Yet after nearly a month of war, Iran's Islamic Republic lives on. For Israel, the success of this conflict may depend on how severely it's damaged Iran's deadly ballistic missile capability.
Whoa! What would 100% success in this war look like from Israel's perspective?
Iran not being able to pose a threat for Israel or the region for a very, very, very long time.
There's no question that this war has weakened Iran militarily, but it's also shown that the regime can effectively paralyze shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, creating volatility in oil prices affecting the global economy and putting pressure on President Trump. Tony.
Holly Williams for us in Tel Aviv. Holly, thank you very much. We turn now to the weather and the threat of tornadoes and hail tomorrow across the Midwest. That's in addition to record-breaking heat and wildfire danger in other parts of the country. Meteorologist Rob Marciano tracking it all once again. Rob, good evening.
Hey, Tony, yeah, that record heat is going to feed those storms. Unfortunately, that heat dome is not going to diminish the storm activity. It is going to amplify the heat that we've been dealing with there. So more records expected tomorrow. Today, the 8th day in a row of Phoenix being 100. I think you'll go to number 9, 25 to 35 degrees above average. But look at the Kansas City, 93, Denver, 84 in Indianapolis, and that's where some of those storms are going to be. Meanwhile, critical fire danger from Montana down to New Mexico. So that's something we have to watch. Very dry winds blowing through there. All right, cold front coming into these record high temperatures across the Corn Belt. So places like Peoria, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, up through Columbus, Ohio, could see an elevated threat of huge hail, damaging winds, and maybe a tornado or two there. Meanwhile, let's go over to the theater of war where our servicemen and women are. Iraq to Kuwait, across the Persian Gulf to Iran. We could see similar stuff. Damaging winds, maybe tornadoes, flash flooding. Certainly will impact our naval assets there, and the combat airspace will impact it tomorrow as well. Tony?
Rob, thank you very much. To opening day for Major League Baseball. And for the first time in the history of the sport, players who disagree with a called ball or strike will have something they can do other than holler and kick dirt. CBS's Chris Van Cleve has more now on the new automated umpire system.
In the leadoff spot for the 2026 baseball season, all eyes are on the tap.
In there, and Judge wants a review.
For the first time, players can challenge a ball or strike call. Teams spent spring training learning the new automated ball strike challenge system, or ABS. Giants manager Tony Vitello.
It sure is entertaining to have everybody look at the scoreboard and see if their bingo number comes up or not, and then they cheer.
The pitcher, catcher, or hitter can challenge an umpire's call immediately after a pitch by tapping their head. Each team gets 2 challenges a game. If they win, they keep the challenge. If the ump's call is confirmed, they lose 1.
Oh, challenge.
I'm personally a fan of it. I think it gets the crowd engaged.
Giants catcher Daniel Susak.
I think the biggest part is, 1, knowing when to challenge and being 100% sure.
What goes into this is the time to challenge?
I'd say maybe the impact of the game. That's something where you know the momentum can switch a little bit.
ABS now adjusts the strike zone based on the player's height. It uses a series of cameras around the stadium to determine a pitch's exact location, showing the result on the Jumbotron for fans to see.
It's going to give players the ability to, make sure calls made in really high leverage situations are correct.
Former big league pitcher Joe Martinez is MLB's vice president of on-field strategy.
What do you say to the fans that sort of take the position of stop messing with baseball?
Yeah, I think we'd like to do that too. We've identified some opportunities to make some improvements. I think we're just trying to bring out kind of the best version of the game. That's really our goal.
World champion Dodgers manager Dave Roberts thinks it'll do just that.
I think it makes the game better. Players now have to have skin in the game. If they want to complain about a call, they can challenge it.
The system has been tested and refined in the minor leagues since 2022. On average, there have been about 4 challenges a game, each taking around 15 seconds. Players are right about half the time. Catchers are the most accurate. 60% of minor leaguers prefer the challenge system, while only 16% like the idea of a full-time robo-ump.
Do you like having the umpire back there?
Yeah, you definitely got to have a human aspect of the game. A lot of guys say they like, they need someone to argue with, so.
A part of the game that should never change. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Scottsdale, Arizona.
When we come back, Savannah Guthrie's first interview, how she's coping now more than 50 days after her mom's disappearance. We're back with Savannah Guthrie's first interview since her mom, Nancy, disappeared. On Today, she described the pain of not knowing what happened the night her mother was abducted from her home in Tucson.
We are in agony. It is unbearable. And to think of what she went through. I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night. And in the darkness, I imagine her terror. And it is unthinkable, but those thoughts demand to be thought.
More than 50 days later, no suspect has been named or arrested, at least so far. Savannah Guthrie is expected to return to the Today Show, but no date has been set. Still ahead, history at the White House. The First Lady saying this robot here could help you and your kids at home. We'll explain how. Something completely new happened at the White House today. For the first time ever, a robot escorted the First Lady of the United States to an event. In this case, Melania Trump, to an event called Fostering the Future Together. The robot, which introduced itself as Figure 3, said it was grateful to be there, and the First Lady pitched it as a potential teacher for your kids. Now to a Lassie-like moment for a dog named Taco, who alerted his owner to trouble after a sinkhole swallowed up his best buddy Tessie in this Massachusetts backyard. Rescue crews moved in and were able to hoist Tessie up to safety. Still ahead, the good stuff. Baseball is back. Why that matters. The good stuff tonight, baseball is back. Opening day, the Yankees take on the Giants to start off the season, but baseball has always been about more than just the pros. The game has been played in this country for nearly 200 years, and if this season is like the last one, 27 million of us will play again in some form, baseball or softball, from little kids to their grandparents, from farms to cities. And between now and October, Major League Baseball will sell 70 million tickets, more than the other major American sports combined, more than any sports league in the world, in fact, which is what the game is now, a global sport. Last fall in the World Series, a team from Canada played a team from America with a superstar from Japan. And an average of 34 million people a night tuned in from those 3 countries for 7 nights straight. People say it's slow. I would call it leisurely, also communal, full of families. The bleachers are like a block party. I will say the beer could be cheaper, but the pace invites good conversation. And the game is also blindingly fast, even for the pros. Take a look at this, a 21-year-old Tigers prospect reacting this week to a first pitch from a 19-year-old Pirates prospect. What the heck is what I think he's saying, except maybe a little stronger language. The other great thing about baseball is it follows the seasons, which means it will fade in the fall. But today, all things are new, all teams are equal, and the grass is still perfect. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Good night.